Welcome everyone, my name is Blazing Fury from Blazing Fury Gaming, and I'm going to be bringing you a guide to normal mode Kargath Bladefist. Kargath Bladefist is a single phase fight. You engage from inside the circular arena and the surroundings play a very large part. There are 4 pits around the room, each containing a large stationary mob. If you were to fall into the pit, you will die instantaneously. There's nothing you can do to avoid it, the tiger just mauls your face. There are also 4 pillars around the outsides of the room. These pillars look like skulls on the ground when they're stationary, but they can pop up during the middle of the fight and will rotate throughout the fight, so you have to be aware of them. These pillars are called flame pillars. The flame pillars serve a very vital function that I will get to later on in the video. But for a general purpose, stay outside of the fire, and yeah, that's about it. The rest of the arena is actually the seating area, which has a bunch of adds or mobs that sit up inside of it. There are 3 different types of mobs up there. There's Iron Grunts, which are basically just melee bruiser mobs. They don't have any special abilities. There's Drunken Bile Slingers, which are very important, and Iron Bombers, which are also important. I'll get to what those mobs do later on in the video when I talk about one of Kargath's abilities. Okay, I think we're going to move on to the abilities that Kargath Bladefist performs. Impale is an attack that Kargath uses against his tank. It deals a large amount of physical damage every second for 8 seconds, and if the target survives, then open wounds is applied to them, causing them to take increased damage from future impales. This ability is cast about every 30 seconds and requires a tank switch after 2 stacks have been applied. So basically, the tank can take 2 impales and then the other tank needs a ton off and take it from there. That's about it. Alright, his next mechanic is called Chain Hurl. It's an ability that he uses about every minute and a half. He jumps to the center of the arena and chain hurls for 6.5 seconds. At the end of his channel, he chooses 5 players and they're thrown up into the stands of the arena. These players can jump back down whenever they wish, and they can't spend more than 45 seconds in the stands or they're thrown back into the arena. Now what's important about this is that the closest 5 players to Kargath will be chain hurled. So you want to make sure you send your tank up with the most impale stacks, you want to send up a healer that can heal, and you want to send up 3 really good AoE DPSers. I believe in this video my guild chose to just send up the 3 hunters that we had, but it could be any 3 good AoE DPS, it doesn't really matter. Once everybody is landed in the stands, the plan is to kill as many adds as possible, focusing Drunken Bile Slingers and Iron Bombers. The Bile Slingers should be the first priority because they cast Mauling Brew, which hurls a mug of vile brew into the arena, dealing a large amount of nature damage on impact and then leaving a void zone behind for 30 seconds. Standing in it, you take a whole bunch of damage, and you want to make sure there's as much room on the ground for people to move as possible to avoid the Berserker Rush and the Flame Pillars and stuff like that. So kill those first, and then secondary focus on the Iron Bombers, where the Iron Grunts can be just AoE down residually. After you've killed all the adds, or you think you've killed enough adds, or 45 seconds elapses, an ogre will come out of one of the building sides and just charge and knock you off back into the pit. It's just rinse and repeat from here, nothing new. Blade Dance is an unavoidable damage ability that Kargath uses throughout the fight. For 10 seconds, he enters a state where he charges a random raid member every 2 seconds, dealing damage to them and anyone else within 7 yards. This charge is unavoidable and instantaneous, and he prefers ranged raid members, provided that there are enough of them present. Healers just need to make sure that you're able to heal through this, and everybody else should basically just stay 7 yards away from everybody else. DBM should have a range indicator if you have that installed. Kargath's next ability is called Berserker Rush. It's an ability that Kargath uses throughout the fight, and he fixates on a random raid member and walks towards them for 20 seconds. While doing so, Kargath damages all enemies located in front of him, and throughout these 20 seconds his movement speed and his damage done increase every 2 seconds. The way you deal with Berserker Rush is you have the person kite him through an active flame pillar. As soon as he enters the flames, he will stop, get upset, and then punch the flame pillar and turn it off. Then he will return back to his original tanked position, or whatever tank had the most threat on him at the time. Berserker Rush is very important to not stand in front of Kargath at the same time that he is doing it. He will kill you very quickly. Melee need to be very cautious about if Kargath turns during this, and range need to make sure that they're standing somewhat near a flame pillar for every Berserker rush, that way they can kite him into it very quickly. Alright, now for a tank recap. Tanks should make sure that you position Kargath away from the fire pillars, and pretty much in the center of the room is the best place to keep him. Make sure that you perform your tank switch on every other impale, and make sure that you have active defensive cooldowns for each impale that you go through. And if you're in their stands, make sure that you pick up all the adds and face the Drunken Bottle-Slingers away from the other raid members. That's about it. Alright healers, you have a very important job. You got to make sure that your tanks don't die from impale, so make sure that you have a defensive cooldown available, just in case, you never know. Be prepared to heal raid damage from Blade Dance and the iron bombs that get thrown onto people from the stands. This damage is relatively moderate, but with a lot of it going out, you want to make sure that you keep everybody topped off. Third, make sure that you stay away from Kargath and be spread out from other people. That 7-yard rule applies to everybody, not just the DPS. If you're in the stands, be prepared for unpredictable damage. The tank can get stunned and therefore take a bunch of damage if he's got a few adds on him. The Drunken Bottle-Slingers have a frontal cone AoE if the tank doesn't get him in position quite quick enough, so your DPS or even yourself could take damage, so be ready for that. Other than that, just heal through it and get your loot. Alright DPS, you're pretty simple in this fight. It's pretty much just kill boss, kill adds, and don't stand in bad stuff. Be ready to kite through flame pillars if you're ranged, and make sure that everyone stays about 7 yards away from each other. It's a pretty simple fight. This is Blazing Fury signing off. Thank you all for watching, and please rate, comment, subscribe below. And until next time, have a wonderful day.